Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome to Abracadabra. I'm going to do the opening tone today. Hello, 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 hello. Who is here? Can you hear me? Let's see. Let's wait here. Welcome, welcome to Abracadabra. Create what you speak. I'm iLan Azoulai. I'm your host. I'm a spiritual mentor, a sound therapist, a guide for you who are ready to reclaim your power. And also over technical problems and power. So, yes, this is. I wasn't expecting really to come up today. Was kind of a contemplation whether to come out up online today, and I will share this with you. But there are very important things that I feel is very. It's important that I talk about and I share, and if there is. And if there is somebody that wants to come online, I will happy to bring you up online, because these are kind of topics that are quite important. So I want to start with a daily prayer and a daily request and a daily mindset. Because this program is, and my intention is really about bringing out our gifts, bringing out what is really boiling within us, our gifts, those things, those realizations of what we are capable of and what we can bring out to the world. And this is really a starting point. And the starting point is to recognize first what we have with ourselves. And so I want to start with the utterance that is a daily thing for me, and it's a prayer in Hebrew. והריני מקבל על עצמי את מצוות השכל ואהבת לרעך כמוך. I hereby accept on myself the due commandment, or the utterance of love your neighbor, love your friend, love your partner, love your gardener in the same way that you express love to yourself. And I want to focus a little bit about this. It divides into three pieces. First of all, the first focus is on ourselves. Lekamocha, because the whole purpose of whatever we do, whether I love somebody or how I express love, first of all, the intention is first on myself, on ourselves. How do we treat ourselves? How do we talk to ourselves? How are we presenting ourselves, first of all, to us? How do we look? When we look at the mirror, what do we see? And when I say what do we see, it's not how do we define ourselves by, but I'll get to it later. It's how do we respond to ourselves? How do we accept ourselves? Are we beating up ourselves for things that we're, for things that we think we should have or could have or ought to have? So once we are in that place, and again, it's not a, we always learn. It's always a continuous learning. It is not a place of, okay, now I'm here and that's it. There's nowhere to go. On the other hand, it doesn't mean that if I'm not completely there, I cannot provide, I cannot share. If I know one letter, the Rabbi Schneerson said, if you know one letter of a language, share it. One letter, because that's one letter more than somebody else may know. And so it is at every step of the way that we are to share, that we are encouraged to share. And so that is an information, right? This is information. And that is really the main topic of today, is the information and communication. Because the information that we receive today is, what is information? Right? Information is something that is based on a fact, something that is being presented, and then we pass it on. Now, information today is not necessarily always truth. In the past, all the time information was, how do we share knowledge? How do we share truths? How do we share ways how to? And today it is not that case. So back to the sentence of Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. First of all, it is how do I look at myself? How do I look at myself? How am I presenting myself? Now, another thing is that is important. We say it is really hard to love somebody else when we don't love ourselves, right? When we do. So how do we get to this place? What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do I have to love myself first to be able to love somebody else? Or can I share the little bit that I have in a certain aspect of myself? Can I share that with somebody else? Are there any tools to bring to kind of create this motion of movement towards love? Think about, for example, procrastination. I've been there, sometimes I am there, but it has been a complete transformation of being in a complete and total procrastination. But there are things that can move one from a procrastination to change the ways. So sometimes we say, no, I'm going to feel that first and then I'm going to do something. The same thing with love somebody else like you love yourself. We're going to, first of all, I have to be in a place of complete and unconditional love to myself, and then I can give. Well, the sentence in Hebrew doesn't say love your friend like yourself. Love to your friend, love to your neighbor, love to that person. Meaning, whatever I wish good for myself, I wish it onto another person. Whatever I choose for myself, if I wish for myself good, if I wish for myself to be in a good place, I pray every morning, I get up every morning, I say, you know what, I really wish for this, and I really hope to be liked, and I really hope to be seen, and I really hope to create a change, a movement. That desire can be automatically wished for and wished upon somebody else. So that is the Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love to your neighbor, love to your partner, not necessarily love your partner like yourself or love your neighbor like yourself. But it is to start creating this movement, of action, of I'm wishing for somebody. So again, I may have a part of my day is not great, and yet I can still wish for that person genuinely to be happy. It is a practice. It is a practice that when I release that energy, when I'm creating that energy, this program is called Abracadabra, create what you speak. Abracadabra comes from Aramaic. I create as I speak, literally. So when I'm wishing something upon somebody, it creates a movement, an energetic movement. And this energetic movement is like a ripple effect. It's the same thing like negativity. If I create negativity, if I say negative things, if I'm gossiping, and by the way, gossiping is not necessarily, not only negative is gossiping, but positive is actually also gossiping. It's creating this ripple effect. If I'm gossiping positively, am I gossiping positively because I'm expressing some kind of jealousy factors that are natural to the human condition? So it is that ripple effect that I create that is going to start movement within myself as well. So that is for the Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Think about the when we fly, or when we used to fly, or some of us still fly, some of us don't fly. But taking care of the other person, taking care of yourself before you take care of the other person that needs a mask, is taking care of myself so I can take care of other persons. so other people. So it is all going together. It is looking at myself, how I look at myself, what am I, what I'm contributing to myself, how am I talking to myself. So now this brings in deeper into the matter of communication and information. Okay, so this weekly portion that we had in the Torah was Parashat Noach, was the Torah portion of Noach. Noach in Hebrew, in layman term, in simple term, means comfortable. It's really interesting that in these uncomfortable times, we're talking about a comfortable. We have a comfortable name of a person. So there are two aspects in the story, two stories really in that portion. The story of the flood, the great flood, and the story of the Babylon Tower. So the great flood, the flood really what it did, it really wiped out everything. It kind of cleansed everything. This is where we really are, where the place of cleansing. Earth is like being taken and put into a dishwasher and is being cleansed. And this is really what is happening. So there are different people that will experience it differently, will experience this Quranic era differently. And so this world is considered to be a hallway before we reach the living room. It's like these apartments many times in Europe, where you open the door and you walk through a long corridor, and then you reach the living room. So this world is like this corridor. How do we prepare ourselves? How do I prepare myself to reach to the living room? And many times before I get to that living room, seeing the person I'm going to see, I'm kind of fixing myself, last fixes and last button tie and all these kind of things, a hair thing, all these kind of things. It's the same thing. So I'm kind of preparing myself, we're preparing ourselves in this era, in this Quranic time, before we reach the living room. So what are we preparing ourselves with? Right? What are we preparing ourselves with? It is how we are perceiving everything, right? And how I'm perceiving everything is going to affect the way that I experience. How I perceive everything is going to affect the way that I experience everything. And so I come to this place, so this information, and this is where it gets a little tricky here with the part of the information. The second part of the story of Noach is the Babylon Tower. And the Babylon Tower, Bavel in Hebrew comes from the word levalbel, confusing, and it comes from the word balal, to assimilate. So there are two concepts here: confusion in communication and assimilation within a story. Now, we all come from stories. We're born into stories. We're born into my parents' stories. You're born into your parents' stories. We are in society. We grew up in certain places. You can do this. You cannot do this. You cannot do this. Since early years, we all kind of things that society have adopted, and then we were born into it. Okay, so the communication. So in Babylon, what happened is, before the Babylon Tower era, everybody had one language. Everybody was in one vision, one language. There was one goal. There was one goal for ascension. And then what happened? Everybody starts getting egoic, centric. Everybody had their own thing, right? So what happened? Their language got confused. Why? Because their information that they were receiving and the information that they were sharing was not unified. This is exactly what's happening now. This is exactly what's happening now. I don't care if you're right, left, middle, upside, downwards, backwards. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that we have the gift of discerning. We have the gift of good and not good. Rabbi Schneerson said that there is no good or bad. There is good and the opposite of good, because also in the opposite of good, there is goodness. And so there is good and there is not good. But we have the choice. We have the capacity. And this is part of our gift. And when we are in that space, we're able to move worlds. Funny enough, when we're also in a negative space, we're able to move worlds. It's just whatever worlds we're creating, that's what we're choosing. So this time is just like the Babylon Tower, where the communication was completely broken down. And the information that is being received is not completely, but for the most part, and a lot of it is unclear, is deceitful, is not true, and I don't know if this broadcast is going to remain, so we'll give it a shot, we'll try it again. But who is responsible for that is those who are delivering, who are giving the tools to provide this information. I saw an interview with Sacha Baron Cohen, which, by the way, his film came out yesterday, the new Borat film. It is brilliantly made and brilliantly illuminating the place that we are in and how we are being pushed around. And if within a short period of time of making film, people can be pushed around that way authentically, then you can imagine what is happening for generations and generations and generations. And we're just now finding it out because we have the capacity and the information and the channels to find it out. And yet these channels are feeding us with dog food, you know? And dog food is not necessarily healthy, so for humans. So the information that we're receiving by these channels, for the most part, is inaccurate, to say the least, is a lie many times. So when we get information, doesn't matter if you're right or left, when you get information about anything, find that source. Where is that coming from? Who made that? What is the agenda? Where are you receiving this information? And it has to, if we look about everything with this virus, right? Everything with this virus, from the beginning, it's been shadowed. From the beginning, it's been told a different story. I mean, this virus really got more than it bargained for itself. Like diseases before, viruses, they came, they did what they did, they got vaccinations, or they were treated, they were gone. This guy comes along and says, you know what? I'm going to affect a bunch of people. I'm probably going to be killed just like my predecessors. Viruses, they got vaccines, they killed them off. But what happened? This virus came. He got promoted. He got an office. He got new name because at first it started Corona, then they changed it to COVID-19, which COVID-19 is not the name of the strain, it's the name of this vaccine in disguise, and 19 is the years it was created. It got an office, it got religious affiliation, it got racial affiliation, it got debunked, it got promoted. I mean, this guy stayed. He said, I don't want to leave, I like it here. You know, people are taking me, whatever. So this is really what happened. And the information that is received is from all over and is being taken out of context when it comes to political, when it comes to the virus itself. Now, there are two things here. The virus exists. We know the virus exists. I know the virus exists. I know people personally that recovered from virus. I know people personally, my uncle passed away from the virus. I know people that are still sick with the virus here or in Israel. So the virus is there. The virus is there. What is not necessarily there is the politicized agenda that has been created by these by these channels of transferring information. Another interview that Sacha Baron Cohen said, it was that freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom of reach, which is brilliant, because sites like the one that I am posting on now and other like itself use their reach, their ability to reach, to channel what kind of information you see and what kind of information you don't see. And your TVs and your goggles that were created by the same channel that I'm broadcasting on now, like VR goggles, all these kind of things. They listen. It listens to everything you have. How many times do you talk about something, and then you go to your phone or you go, you watch TV, and suddenly this ad pops up, telling you how much you really need that. Steve Jobs says the customer doesn't know what it needs. We tell them what it needs, and this is exactly what it's been. It's been they tell people what people need, and it's like dangling a carrot in front of a donkey's head with a stick, making the donkey believe that he's going to get the stick if he continues run and run in the field. So the donkey continues running, but he never gets the carrot. It just gets dangled in front of the eyes. That's the same thing what happened with the stimulus checks, right? You get checks just to let's shush. You see, I'm taking care of you, and let's continue now. This is a whole. I don't want to get into politics per se, but I want to get to the essence of why things are being presented the way that they are being presented. And so it is to look at everything that we receive. We have these gifts, and this is the war about our consciousness. This is our preservation. This is about preserving our consciousness, igniting our consciousness, igniting our wonder as children. You know, if you look at religion, this says as children you enter the kingdom. What is children entering the kingdom is the wonder of a child, the wonder to ask questions. Look how many questions we ask when we're kids. Why do we learn so great when we were kids and not as adults? Because we ask questions. And the thing when we are adults, we're already set with our square heads and with our agendas that were fed to us many times by a plastic spoon that is killing us to begin with. So to ask these questions. And this is the Babylon Tower of today. This is the Babylon Tower that is, our language has been confused. There is a tear among the people, and our power is together. I don't care if you're black, white, orange, yellow, blue, whatever color you want to be. It doesn't matter. This is a car. The inside of me, the inside of you, is the soul, is the driver. The car works crap without a driver. You can idle the car and go shopping. The car will never go anywhere. It's the driver. And as drivers, we all have the same qualities. Everybody has a different gifts that they come here with. Everybody has a different box of crayons. But we're all drivers. We all have the power of creating. We all have the power of creating, and when we bring this creation and your creation and this creation and that creation, we are enormous and we are light. And this is what the intention of these channels, this is what their intention is to dim the light. To dim the light. You know, and if they dim the light, this is what happens. You dim the light. No, we don't want to dim the light. We want to light another match and another match and another match. And there's all kind of Babylonian languages that are surging up and that are coming up. And it is really it's not thinking. It's not thinking for reason and for our own understanding. It's taking what somebody says as face value. And I put another video of this guy, this wonderful guy. I forgot his name, but I want to give him credit and a shout out. I have to do that. I have to do that. I put a video of him. He put a what's his name? Danny Casale or Casale. I think it's Casale. Danny. And he put a video, a very short video. And this guy, it's cartoons. And this guy meets another guy and he says, "Hey, dude, I read that snakes have legs." And said, "Oh yeah, where did you read it?" Well, actually, he doesn't say. He says, "Oh wow, I'm going to tell everybody." He says, "Yeah, go tell everybody, because it's true." And then a snake comes along. He says, "Hey, are you a snake?" I say, "Yeah, I'm a snake." He said, "Oh, I heard you have legs." And the snake tells him, "Well, that's dumb shit. That doesn't exist." Where do you read that? Oh, I read it at the Daily Testicle. Oh, do you believe anything you read at the Daily Testicle? Yeah, and you believe it because I read it on the internet. You need to stop doing it. You need to stop being dumb on the internet. And what the other guys that unfriend, snake have legs. Well, actually, that happens to me exactly like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, with somebody in the community here that put out a piece about Israel, about Biden and Israel. Again, it's not about right or left. It's about taking something out of context and believing it to be true. It was a piece from some 1977 interview, right? It was taken out of context. And when I confronted her online. I said, "Where did you get this piece from? Here is the real source of where it's from." What happened? Unfriend. But I got the unfriend with the cherry treatment. Unfriend and block. So people, people will believe whatever we want to believe, right? We can believe whatever we want to believe. Believe that there is a perception that creates a belief. The perception will come first, and then there is a belief. And the belief becomes strong. So there is the perception, like the guy that says something, oh, I perceive it now. How do we perceive what we perceive? That depends on the place that I'm inhabiting within myself. So if I'm inhabiting within myself a place of fear, then I'm going to attract those same people with the same energies and same thoughts. It's as simple as that. You can call it is the law of attraction, but this is Kabbalistic. This is the way of the words. This is the letters. This is how we are creating words. Abracadabra, create what you speak. This is exactly what it is. We're creating what we're speaking. So I was unfriended, so people will believe whatever they want to believe in. This is the Babylon. This is the confusion of the languages. So, we just need to talk about this so other people will wake up. And here's another situation that I want to talk about that regards to this and regards to the masks and regards to looking for something. And it ties into the first sentence that I start the program with, ואהבת לרעך כמוך. Okay, it starts this. So I go to today was really kind of was a kind of unsure day for me to come up, because today is the year of my father's passing, of my dad's passing, the yard site today, this day. So a year ago, I was in Israel, and it was a lot of things that were happening. And so he passed away, and it's so symbolic, it's so, everything has a reason. And when we understand that everything has a reason, and everything, not just that it has a reason for happening, but it has a reason for the good of our own journey, for the good of our own journey, for the good of our own journey. And when we are in that light, we are in that sync, everything syncs, and we're able to deliver that and to reflect that on the outside. Okay, so I go to different places, to services, and here's the thing about masks. Some people wear masks, some people don't wear masks. All right. So I want to talk about this, how I see the thing of a mask. Now, wearing a mask, now we know that there is a virus, right? We know that there is a virus. Whether it is politicized or not, I talked about this earlier, whether there is where it's politicized or not, it's a whole different story. But there is a virus. Now, the virus, why is a mask there for the most part? The most part of the virus is not to affect maybe somebody else with, maybe if I cough or if I breathe on something on somebody, because this is how it'll pass. Not necessarily that the mask wearer or bearer will get infected through the mouth and the nose. It is more that I'm being conscientious, I want to be respectful, that I am contributing to the health of somebody else. For whatever reason, because we still don't know the entire information about everything. We know more than what we know, what we knew several months ago, but we don't know everything. But what we do know is that it can be transmitted like that. So if I put a mask, is because I'm thinking about the other person. Okay? If I'm thinking about the other person, that means that I'm thinking about myself. If I'm thinking about myself, I think of the other person. So when I see somebody doesn't put a mask because they say it's either a hoax, and I don't get those people that say a hoax, because they only say hoax, but they don't give any concrete proof of why they believe it's a hoax, unless it's one of those ideas of snake have legs type of thing, daily testicle and all these kind of things. So unless they have, but I never hear that. So, or they believe that they are fine and they were tested and everything is fine, but I don't know that. I don't know that. If I see you and you don't wear a mask, you're basically telling you I piss on you, I don't care. And you walk around me, it's I don't care. It is not about whether it is politicized or not. It is about the thought, the knowledge that it transfers like that, and the thought that there is another person that is standing in front of me, especially if it is a place of service, especially if it is a spiritual place, right? What's the point? What is the point? The point is that I think of the other person, but because I first think of myself, right? I want for the person the best that I want for myself. So if I want to be healed and I want to stay healthy by the grace of God, and thank you, the Creator, God, whatever you want to call the Creator, because Creator is the Creator. It's your association to that Creator that gives you the name of, right? If I want for me the best, I want for you the best. So I'm going to be respectful, especially where I'm going into if I'm going into a place and 90% are wearing, and there are several people that don't. Okay, and then there is this question of what is the purpose of the spirituality, or what is the purpose of caring for somebody else, or what is the purpose of going around and saying, oh, I am an observant, or whatever you want to call, when you don't have when there is no an understanding of the other person. Now, that could be where that person is, okay. But do we say something about this? I feel that we need. I feel that it is important to say, especially if you care about yourself, especially if you feel that this is accurate. But if it's not, and you are watching, and you are one of the people that don't think that need to wear masks, try to think about being respectful for the other person. Because if you're respectful to the other person, it also means that you're respectful for yourself. And if you want the best for yourself, then you want also the best for the other person. Right? So this is how also the broken communication is affecting our daily existence, our daily life. This is how it is affecting it. And going around with not questioning, or like driving in a car with your mask on and the windows closed and you're alone in the car. Is it an accessory? I don't know, maybe a mask becomes an accessory, like a watch or something, or I mean, there are definitely cool masks. I mean, I ordered this mask where it's see-through, so you can see, because, I mean, if anything, this coronic time taught us, or taught me, and some people that I know, is that which we actually try to run away from that is more important, our connection. Look at before the coronic time, everybody in the phone, everybody isolated. We don't want to say, we have this group, you're part of my group. No, I don't want to see that, I don't want to talk to you. Those phones, tablets, closing my world. And this coronic time created the understanding that the most important thing is the connection. The most important thing is our closeness. This is not just the most important thing, but this is our power. This is our power to be together, to come up to these grasshoppers. These grasshoppers are all these channels, like the one I'm broadcasting here and others. And the reason I'm not saying the name is because they have tag names that are pulling it up, and they may kill it. So this is for us to recognize and to rise up to these grasshoppers that are controlling the millions and millions and millions of ants. If you've seen the movie Ants, it was several years ago, animated movie. There were a bunch of grasshoppers that, by fear, they intimidated thousands of ants until, as the grasshopper called them, one puny ant rose, and then another ant, and then they realized that we're outnumbered. The beast is dying. The beast is dying, and the beast is these systems that were put in place in order for control, in order for domination. So when we say abracadabra, create what you speak, it's not just hokey pokey, oh, let's take nice, we want nice thing. Yes, it is. And it is releasing us, waking us up from that place of numbness, from that place of sleeping, from that place of seeing the carrot in front of our eyes dangling like they dangle in front of the donkey and believing, oh yes, tomorrow is going to be better because I'm going to get this carrot. Tomorrow is going to be great because I'm going to get this carrot. No, it's not going to be great until I break that stick off my head. And then I realize even that the carrot was plastic. You know? It is these moments that are crucial, that are important. And this is how to bring our gifts out. And this program, when I'm talking about, and I'm coming up saying, bringing the gifts in each one of us, empowerment program, empowerment lifestyle. It's an empowerment lifestyle. I'm here to work with anybody and to talk with anybody that sees that and wants to have a conversation and wants to have a talk. And especially if you are, and it goes all the way to relationships one with the other, the information and the relation to that information. So I mentioned, I start coming now into relationship, but it all ties into one thing. If I look in the mirror, if you look in the mirror and you say, this is me, this is me, this is me, this is my flesh, this is the way I look, how I feel, this is me, I'm defined by that. If I define myself by this, if you define yourself only by what you see in front of the mirror, you're making yourself a huge disservice. It's a huge disservice. Because you are way more than that. And I'll give you an example. Take yourself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? You look at the pictures that bring memory and you say, man, how did I think? Where was I? What was I thinking? You know, I want to be 20 with a brain of 50 or whatever, right? If you would think of you looking at yourself back then in the mirror and believing that what you see is what you get. This is what it is. This was just a snapshot in time. Because now when you look backwards, you say, oh, this is not me. This was not me. Or at least it's not my complete me. At that time, I was that person. You were that person at that time. 20 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago. I'm looking at a year. I'm talking today is my yahrzeit of my father. A year ago, I was in a completely different space. Remember, I was in denial actually. I was in denial actually that this is happening. I was in denial actually this was happening, and it took me a while to get to this place. To get to this place of recognizing what it means and how it feels. And how to feel when it feels what it feels the way that it felt. All these places. It is even how to get to this place. That's a journey. So I'm looking back at myself a year ago and I'm saying, I'm not that person. It is a version. It is a snapshot in time. It's like I take a picture. It's the same thing like I take a picture. I take a picture and this is a snapshot in time of where I was. Of my expression at that moment. My expression at that moment. Even Friday is my expression at that moment. So you look at the mirror, it is not that person who is defined by what I see. It is not what I do or how I look that defines me, but it is how I feel that dictates how I do what I do, or defines how I do what I do. For example, take a piece of clothing. How many of you that you are now maybe in your 40s, 50s, you feel more comfortable in your own skin than when you were in your 20s? I know I do. So it is a snapshot in time. It is coming to a place of realization, of understanding, of encompassing, of integration. And you know, in shamanism, this year is a year of integration. Meaning that information is not as important as the integration of it into our lives. The information is not as important as its integration into our life, because we're already at the stretch. In Kabbalah, we're already at the stretch of our humanoid experience. Our human experience, we're at the stretch. So we come down, then it goes like that, and then it goes back up. We're already at the stretch. And in Judaism, 6,000 years doesn't mean necessarily that the entire world, entire creation was 6,000 years. There are other worlds before that, but this experience is 6,000. And we are at 5871, and we are almost like before Shabbat. Man was created before Shabbat on Friday. And so if 6,000 is a completion of 6 days, 58 is like the end of the 6 days, 5,800. It's like the last percentage. And that's why we're talking about all these worlds, all these realities, everywhere where we are now, everything is colliding. No, not necessarily colliding, like I use it's coming to a bottleneck. Everything is in a bottleneck situation, and we see people that are responding this way, and people that are responding that way, and people that are in positive mode, and people that are in negative mode, and every kind, and everybody experiences it differently. Everybody experiences it differently. It is how that I experience it, how I look at it, that will dictate my experience. And how I look at myself in the mirror is going to dictate whether I'm in my natural state or my fictitious state. If I believe that if I look in the mirror, this is who I am, this is me, that's it, there's all to it. I'm defined by the hair I wear, or I'm defined by the glasses I'm wearing, or I'm defined by the shirt I'm wearing. If this is, then I'm not in my natural state. I'm in this very keyhole view. Think about a horse that has this, how do you call these things? I don't know. How do you call these things on the eyes of the horse? I don't know, but you know what I mean. So if I'm looking only through this, if I'm only looking through these, I don't know, my English is not all the time, I will see only this. If I look through the keyhole, I will see only what I see through the keyhole at any given moment in time. But what I want to do is open the door. And when I open the door, I can be anything. And this is exactly what it is. If I define myself by what I see, or by what I see through the keyhole, then I'm not in my natural state. When I am in my natural state, then I'm not defined by that. Rabbi Sachs sending him blessings. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs sending him blessings. He is in ill, so sending him blessings to these days. He said he said something so profound. He said, the meaning of a system lies outside of a system. It's just like the meaning making the meaning that we make, and this is really, this whole journey, this whole work is really about the meaning making process. How do we make meaning? And what's the meaning of life? Actually, to make meaning. We are making meanings, and the meaningful things are things that we are bonded to. And so the meaning of a system lies outside of a system. When I'm inside it, I do not see necessarily the importance of it. Like, I know that away from Israel, away from home, or away from my country, my home, I can see the importance and the meaning that I have, the meaning that it means to me outside of it, more than when I was in it. So this is one example. But when I'm in something, when I see something through a keyhole, when I get an information and I'm only blindly going blinders, thank you, Julie, the blinders of the horse, but I passed that. So we're past that blinders, right? We're past that blinders. When I'm only in this place, I'm not in my natural state. I'm inside the system. I'm inside the system. I have to get out of the system to see really what it is. And same thing in relationships, and relationships between one to the other. If many times we get stuck in those details that one person gets upset, the other person gets upset. A woman gets upset, a guy gets upset, all this. But what? If you look at the things, if you look at the bottom line of things, you will see that those materialistic things or materialistic arguments are really not important in the grand scheme of things. And many times those materialistic, or why did you do this, or why did you leave this like that, or why didn't you take your sock here, or why did you pick up this, or why did you... These are really other issues that are unresolved inside that are coming up and being triggered. And so that place of communication is also, how do we choose a partner? How do we choose a relationship? How do we choose the relationship which we want to be in? And we know that is good for us. And many times, what is really good for us is not always what we want. Now, I hear many people, and I was in there, and I believed it for a long time. Just go by your heart. Just listen to your heart. And I'm totally for it. To see with the eyes of the heart. To see with the eyes of the heart. Meaning, the heart, the kindness, the gentleness, the respect for one another. The respect for one another. The genuinely caring and wanting something for one another. However, not going blindly where the heart leads all the time. Because in Judaism there is a sentence that says, don't go after your hearts and eyes which you prostitute after. Right? What is the heart? A heart is considered like a tourist. A tourist comes into a new town, comes into a new place, and goes here, goes there. Hey, I want to stay. I don't like that. I go here, I don't like that. Boom, 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 boom. Goes in, goes out, comes in. You don't know when he comes, don't know night, day, everything. That is the heart. That is the heart that goes after. And many times we think that this is really what's good for us because we really feel that we really want it. However, what if what we want really comes from a pattern, comes from a wound that was afflicted upon us, or that we allowed somebody else's power to come upon us, and we believe this is what we want. For example, many times sexual victims that were sexual victims will become sexual predators, or will enjoy sex in a certain ways because that was their wound. Is that really good for them? But that's what they want. But is that really good for them? Everybody does what they like, and it's good, and it's all good. I'm not here to judge anyone. It's just to illuminate, or just to put an asterisk when you read or when you hear something. I'm just like an asterisk. I'm just like, just take a second, just look at that. Just look at the map. This is the work. This is the work that I do with you. It is to map your experiences and to see where these experiences are coming from and how do they land on you, and how do you take off from that landing. And so we choose something. Is this really good for us? And this is also when we choose a partner, when we choose somebody. Many times somebody comes together, a couple come together, they like one another, they get the hots for one another, and they say, okay, now we are going to make a life together. But really what brought them together is that heart space, that physical attraction, without seeing beyond. Without seeing beyond. Why you cannot see beyond? If it is good for you, if there is if there is future for that relationship, for that connection. And many times we see, or I know that I see, and I know that I've been to that movie and the actor dies at the end, that you base a relationship based on that, and then suddenly this comes up, and this comes up, and this comes up, and there are dramas, and there are all these kind of dramatic things that are happening, and people call them, oh, I don't want somebody with a drama. When you say, I don't want somebody with a drama, what does that mean? It means that you recognize the drama in you through the other person. So it is, how do we choose that person? So when we are basing something on a physical attraction only, many times it's not going to hold water. Why? Because there is not this base foundation of understanding, really, is this good for me? Does this person has the same goals, the same desires, the same understandings, the same values, the same things, how I live, the same vibration, and this is what it is. Values, different values, this is all energetic vibrations. Sound, right? Doesn't matter, sound is an energetic vibration. It's the vibrational quality of what I bring to the table. And many times couples will start on the same vibrational quality, and then one will go like this and one will go the other, and then it's a choice of how to be in that relationship. But that's for a whole different thing, because we're almost up. So this is, so there is no, I want to finish this point, and this will tie everything in. The relationship, when we base a connection with somebody based only on a physical relationship, it's not going to really hold many times. And this is why I say that the Quranic time, mark that, take this. I've said it many times, and I'll say it again until tomorrow, and until I'm blue in the face. The Quranic time is the best time to find a partner, a real partner, a partner that sees you, that you see them. This is the best time. People ask me, well, you know, it's like, how can I find somebody? I can't meet anybody. Wonderful. Why? Because what stands in the middle between you and that person that you're going to do a Vimeo, a FaceTime or video with, is the touch. And the touch is the bribe. And when we have a bribe, what happens when we're being bribed? Think about regular bribe, financial bribe, whatever bribe. Somebody's getting a bribe. What is happening? They're obscuring their sense of judgment. They're twisting their sense of judgment. The same thing with how we receive information today. Why are we getting false information by these networks and by these kakamaika places? Because they're being bribed. Why are they being bribed? By power, by greed, by let's take your consciousness. This is the next word. It's not boom and that's it. It's our consciousness that we are here to preserve. So there is the touch is a bribe. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound prude. I'm a very touchy person. But when the touch is involved at the right of the get-go, it blurs all sense of judgment of, is this person good for me, right for me, for a long run, for a short run, for whatever that is. So that's why I say coming together first here and in Zoom or video or whatever, you're also keeping, because of the situation, what is going on, but you're also getting a chance to meet somebody that is not necessarily close to you. You can meet somebody overseas. You are now in the phase of baking the cake. So you are getting to know if this person is going to be tasty for you, if you're going to be tasty for that other person. You're going to see if you have common interests, if you can even speak together, if you can even talk. Because many times you meet somebody and you come for that physical thing, but you really don't have anything to say one to another. And that's okay. If that's the purpose, that's totally fine. Just know where you're going. Be conscious of your choice. Just like you're conscious whether you wear a mask in your own car when you drive and the windows are closed. It is to be conscious of your choices, why you make this choice. So, and Judaism has been saying this for ages. That's why there is these pre-arranged marriage. It's a whole different story, but no touch. Why? Because touch is a bribe. Touch is a bribe to obscure your sense of, is that person good for me? So there is more on that on my website, bodysoulsound.com, www.bodysoulsound.com. This is also broadcasted on LA Talk Radio and here on my page and on my Facebook page and on my Facebook page of Body, Soul, Sound. And my work is really to help guide and to map your experiences so you can make your conscious choice from the place of light, from the place of kindness, from the place of goodness, not affected by anything else. And many times we are in these situations or in the midst of a breakup. This Quranic time brought many breakups, but it also brought many togethernesses, right? So brought many breakups that create a lot of confusion. And it is important to map these experiences with tools that will help bring the light out so that it can shine on the darkness. Well, okay, so you've been here. Thank you for you being here. And if you are here, that means that you had to be here. Everything is for a reason and for the good of your journey and my journey and our journey. Our power is together. This Babylon Tower, let's make it back to one. Come back to the one. Come back to the power of unity. The power of unity which will overthrow, by definition, the unity will overthrow these Pinocchios that are sitting out there and telling us lies. And their nose is growing, but for some reason many of us choose to ignore that growing nose of theirs. So thank you for being here. Have a wonderful week. Make magic. Create what you speak. I'm iLan Azoulai. Much love. Thank you for being here. And if I didn't respond, I will respond now to any comments. Shalom. Bye. Thank you.